I wanted to give a huge shout out to one of my biggest fans, Danielle. She followed along with one of the videos, the peach cobbler one, and shared the recipe with her family. Thank you, and I appreciate you. Now this recipe I have been using for about almost now 12 Christmases and Thanksgivings. This is my honey glazed ham. And the very first ingredient is super duper easy to know. It's dark brown sugar, since it has more of a molasses count to it. I normally do this overnight where I'm packing the brown sugar on and letting it marinate, but my fridge was so filled this holiday, I did it about a couple hours before. But it really doesn't matter. It's gonna get a same flavor effect. I just, for good measure, like to marinate it. Also, I prefer to get the almost fully cooked ham, or at least mostly cooked ham, so I can just warm it up. And then I put the brown sugar in and spread it between the layers that are already pre-cut. So I like a spiraled ham. And I smush it in, rub it in, give it all my good Jasmine love and blessings onto it before we're about to cook it. Now you're gonna follow according to the amount of pounds. So it should be 15 minutes per pound for baking, and you're gonna follow the instructions along your ham. So I believe it was 275 for every 15 minutes. And this was about, a 8 or 9 pound ham. Don't quote me. Please, God, don't quote me. The reason why I say this is I already threw the wrapper in the way in the trash. But once I'm done with marinating it overnight or just prepping for the brown sugar, I bake it for about 30 minutes and then I start to do the next following step. Now that you've got it baked for about 30 minutes, enough to constitute some of the juices out of the ham, which of course you know are going to be sweet, I take a turkey baster and I start taking all those juices and putting them back onto the why did I say turkey? I meant the ham. So once you take the juices, and I spread them over the top at first, and then I'm gonna get more evasive and start spreading apart the slices again and just pumping that juice right back in there. And as you notice, according to the instructions on the ham, you're supposed to cover it in tin foil, but I want a crispier skin because that glaze is gonna have something to adhere it to versus it being steamed. But I promise you, I've been doing this recipe for 11 years. The ham is not dried out. It's juicy, it's moist, it's sweet. I know you probably just hated that word moist, but we're gonna, I guess, use the word succulent. It's very succulent. Succulent. So you see how much juice is produced from that and just redistributing it along the ham. Oh my God, my mouth is even watering. I need to go ahead and make another ham already. It hasn't been that long, but I need to get up on it. Get up on it. Now that the ham is back in the oven, we're gonna go ahead and make the glaze. And I do this glaze and put it on the ham when it's in this last 30 minutes of cooking. So I start the glaze about 45 minutes before the ham is ready. So you're gonna go ahead and melt down a stick of salted butter. And get that nice and going. And then you're gonna, of course, use honey. I use about 1/4 cup of honey on mine. And then if you have that seasoning packet that sometimes comes with honey hams, use that because it's gonna have herbs and spices in it. If not, I can link the spices that I normally use. And then of course, we're now going to the light brown sugar. And we're gonna take the butter and we're gonna melt that completely down and swirl it around again. And we're gonna go ahead and start adding in our ingredients. We're gonna go start with the honey. And like I said, it's about 1/4 cup, but you can do more or less, of course, depending on your preference. And we're gonna go ahead and drizzle that on in. We give it a little stir after we're done adding in all the honey and whisking around and incorporating it since it's still bubbling. And we're gonna go ahead and start measuring out our brown sugar. So after one very messy cup of sugar, we're gonna go ahead and incorporate that and mix that in. Now that that's nice and caramelized, we're gonna let that sit for a couple minutes longer, and we're gonna let it get to a bubble, and that's gonna make it thicker and exactly where we need to cover it over the ham. Now that you got 30 minutes left on the clock, you pull your ham out. You're gonna do a check over. It's looking good. You see that glistening in the front of the turkey? Well, it's time to put the glaze. And I focus the glaze on the back and the sides and the top. I do not really put it in the front. Once I pour the glaze over, it does do a little over drip. You can always remove the over drip and just take it and put it in the pan itself, so then the caramelization in the juice again, if you don't like that dripping. See that dripping that's happening? I just cut it completely off. And then you take the juices and you go over it, the glaze and the turkey one last time. So you're going to take the juice and you can do it between the slices, but I like to make it incorporated so it's nice and glossy, not just candied on the top. You're going to do one last suck up through and make sure that that goes in the middle of the slices right directly to the center of the ham. Oh yeah. And then you're going to put it in for the last round and you're good to go. Now look at how juicy and caramelized this ham is. And like I said, it's been my recipe for the last 15 years and it is a crowd favorite. I hope you enjoy, and make sure you put in the description box below what your favorite holiday recipe is. Thank you for stopping by and watching this video. If you haven't seen the previous video, go ahead and click on the box next to me. If you haven't already subscribed and this is your first time to the channel, the little logo down there, you go ahead and click on that and you're a part of the team. Now, see you in the next video. Bye!